All right, so we're in town for the Victoria, Texas Independent Film Festival, and today we have the crew from the Backseats. We have Ryan O'Leary, who wrote, directed, produced, edited, all that good stuff. Daniel Herman and Diana Costello, who are also producers for the film. And thanks, guys, for joining us so much. Appreciate having you here.
Thank you for having us.
So, really quick, why don't you tell us, for people who haven't seen the movie, what the movie's about, and give us a synopsis of it.
Okay. It's a feature-length coming-of-age story about high school love, punk rock, and hemorrhoids. And it's pretty much just based off my experiences being in a kind of crappy band in high school and making mistakes with my first girlfriend.
Yeah, those are some mistakes there, buddy.
Oh yeah, mistakes.
It's kind of funny because I was watching the film, and then Bree and I would watch it, and we were just, what is he doing? Why is he doing that? What's going on with this guy?
Yeah, I was once a naive boy, but don't worry, now I'm a grown,
Chiseled.
mature man.
Yeah.
Chiseled, yes. I'll take my shirt off.
So let's talk a little bit about the film itself. So the film kind of opens with these two guys who are starting a band, and you tackle something that any musician, any band has ever had a problem with, and it's the drummer problem. The drummer is always the hardest to find. He's usually either a flake or he's too intense, or there's always a problem with the drummer. Sorry, drummers.
I'd say it's an epidemic.
Yeah. It's good to know that it's just as bad up north as it is down here.
Absolutely. Like, there were so many. My high school band, we existed from about really the end of sixth grade until I was probably like a sophomore in college, and we went through about 5 or 6 drummers. We had drummers that most of them were good dudes, unlike the guy in the movie. Like, I can't say Mike Peterson is based off of anyone in particular I played in a band with. But we had the drummer that was 5 or 6 years older than us that was driving us around when we were 14. We had a drummer that was literally, I think, 11 or 12 years old when we were about 14 or 15. And then eventually one of our best friends became our drummer, and that's what I learned. Even if you have friends that aren't even that good at an instrument per se, if they're your friends, it's always a way better way to start. But yeah, it's an epidemic, the drummer situation.
And how did you guys, Herman and Danny, how did you guys get involved with this? I mean, he obviously wrote it.
Basically, Ryan, he did A Bloody Mess, which I love the short, and he had called me for Why the Last Man to help him out on some things, and then it progressed, and I always helped him produce in a lot of his short films, and then when he approached me with the script for, The Backseat, I was like, yes, hello! And I was all for it. I love his writing, and that's it,
I guess one thing to just chime in there is A Bloody Mess was a short film that's basically like if you take out the band stuff, it's basically the first 10 minutes of The Backseat.
Gotcha.
I got a message from him one night, really late at night, about he had a loan ticket to Comic-Con, I think. And he said if I wanted to come, and I'm like, at this point I knew him, but I wasn't, completely friends with him, so I'm like, oh, okay, why not? He brought up a film he was working on, this and that, and then a couple nights later he sent me another Facebook message and asked if I'd like to read it. I'm like, of course. And then from there I kept reading more drafts of the script, this and that. And I wasn't originally a producer, I was more or less just brought on to help out with everything, and then as my duties became bigger and bigger, I guess, so to speak, I became a full producer.
Yeah.
And did I see you in the film? Is that right? I thought I saw you. And it didn't hit me until like the third time I'd seen it, which is the grill. And as soon as I saw you licking your lips, and I looked down and I saw you shaking your head, and Diana consoling you.
Like, yeah. That's when you put two and together. Like, yeah.
I was like, that's him.
He played the handsome hunk Jeff. And he played it so well.
That's really funny. And I think the film's good because it is a typical. It's not typical, but it's kind of the perfect storm for a coming of age movie. You have the main character, you have the best friend who's there for you no matter what idiotic things you do, and then you have Mike Peterson, who's hilarious, but everyone's so kind of they're in their extremes. Like Peterson really is a jerk, but he's hilarious. Like I knew as soon as he came on he was going to be the drummer. And then I didn't want anybody else because I wanted to see this guy in this film the whole time. So when you were casting for it, did you have issues with casting or?
Casting was.
That was fun.
I think for all of us,
Yeah.
that's probably one of the most enjoyable parts of making a movie. We saw we got hundreds and hundreds of headshots and resumes for the guys, and then for the role of Samantha, we had over 600 responses to like 2 casting ads. A decision that I made really early on with the band was there's 2 different ways you could go. There's 2 different ways you could go with 2 different things that are major with this kind of movie. You could either get high school kids that actually look like high school kids, but then you deal with a certain liability when you don't have a budget, like are they going to show up, are the parents going to pull them from the movie? So I quickly really went with the decision, we were all pretty on board with it, like alright, we'll do the movie thing and people can suspend disbelief if acting, so people won't forgive bad acting. And also, we could have cast people that were naturally musicians, and we definitely looked at that when we got headshots, but the actors that we did cast did not necessarily play the instruments they played in the movie. So our lead actor, Chris Ballant, when he came in for his first audition, he brought an acoustic guitar, and then the scene that he read for, the person's tuning the guitar, he's the only person brought in a guitar. And at first I'm like, look at this D-bag bringing in the guitar. Is he really gonna get? And he was great, and he was and he got better with every audition. Anyway, so he brings in this guitar, he can tune it, and I'm like, oh, this guy might actually know how to play. Sure enough, he barely knew how to play like a single chord on it. But bless him, he like just really went all in and learned, and I worked with him really hard. Costa Nicholas, who plays Mike Peterson, had experience playing guitar, but had never really played drums before. So he also, I gave him my friend's, the drum set that my high school band used, I gave it to him. And Craig Kelly, who plays Larry DeMarco, he was actually a very experienced drummer. He was in a moderately successful pop punk band back in Scotland when he was in high school. And he learned bass, and he, out of all the guys too, like he really had to go out of his element, and he just nailed it. Yeah. And what was really great about working with these 3 guys was the first night that we told them all they got the part, just me and them, I took them to a punk show in Brooklyn. I told them to keep the night clear. They had no idea they were going to cast the movie, so I'm like, all right, you guys are in there. They're really excited, so I bring them to this punk show to see the band Iron Cheek, who's awesome. And it's the kind of show that Witness My Jehovah would have killed to play, and I was showing them, I'm like, you guys got to see how nervous these openers are, that's you. And they really, I could tell from that first night that their bonding wasn't just the acting, and they've since been really good friends. And another thing we had them do that was really great was they actually had band practice about 2 or 3 times a week in the month or 2 leading up to the movie. And don't get me wrong, they didn't necessarily sound great.
No, but
that's kind of the charm in it.
It was a bonding experience.
But they got so exactly. These guys got so close, and it's so. I wish I could take more credit for it, but those dudes, they just like, it was like a true friendship that just formed, and it's just, I think it really shows on screen. And then with Allison Riley, our Samantha, we saw a lot of people. That was a tough role.
That was the hardest.
That was the hardest.
I feel that was the hardest one.
Yeah. You nailed the casting because she's really good.
Thank you. Yeah, she's wonderful.
And the way that character's written, you needed a semi-aggressive, smart, witty girl to play off this this shy, not sure about girls kind of guy. What I mean by that is like we knew. But no, she was a really good. Person to play opposite of the main character, so that's really good.
And what was interesting about her was, out of the hundreds, literally 600 headshots, and what's crazy, it's not that it's so uncommon to get that many responses, it's we didn't offer pay or anything. And when she actually came from our other producer, who couldn't be with us today, Lori Hamilton, who also plays the mom, Deborah Hoffman.
Awesome.
She actually suggested her at the beginning, and we had her come in, and she would set Allison apart from so many of the other actresses. She just had her own take on it. The other actresses, the scene that we had them do as their sides for the audition was a part where she was quoting, they're talking about like Blink-182 songs, and almost so many actresses came in going, instead of just saying the title, All the Small Things, they thought they were, and maybe, they were being clever, but they thought they were like, oh, I'm gonna be cool, I'm good. All the small things, and Allison
singing that.
It happens so many people times.
That was driving me crazy.
And there's nothing wrong with it, but
no,
Allison didn't do that.
Yeah.
She came in just so strong, and it's like, she has such a strong, like, I look at her and I'm like, this girl could kind of beat me up. This is,
Yeah.
and
She's intimidating.
She's
Yes,
tiny,
yes.
but
So sweet.
Yeah.
she's so strong, and like, I felt like she was the yin to Chris's yang.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Totally.
that's awesome.
I completely had that out of my memory about how many like what actresses did that. Like it was, I mean, nothing against them.
And there were
Like,
good,
everyone-
there were
everyone
great
was-
actresses
yeah.
that did that, but it was
Forgot
just
about that,
like,
it's so funny.
it's interesting to see so many people coming in thinking like, I got it. And
Yeah.
and it was like, but yeah,
Yeah.
Allison though, and what I did with Allison, that was, I guess, an interesting experiment. I still don't even know if this was the best way to go about handling this. With the guys, I wanted them to be really tight. With her and Chris, since she meets Roy in the movie, and they never really get that close, they only bond over superficial things like music. I love music,
Right.
but at the end of the day, that's all icing on the cake. Like
Yeah.
it's not the meat of the cake.
Yeah.
And
meat.
so I had her and Chris. I'm like, I really don't want you guys to get to know each other too well. And sure enough, like the first day of filming, that like it was a little bit of a curve to kind of figure out their rhythm. But it was a cool experiment that, and when it worked, I think it really worked. Like they were like one of the toughest things to shoot was when they have their big fight after the concert.
Yeah.
And like they sort of got to know each other a little then, so I had to pull. What I did was I feel bad for Allison. I basically just ignored her and took Chris for a walk for about 10-15 minutes, and I talked to him about like previous relationships and that. And like I'm thinking, and I see Chris just getting really emotional. I'm thinking, man, I'm a great storyteller. No, Chris is just that good of an actor. He's so into it, and he was so.
He's
And they
great.
came in and they were both legitimately upset after
Yeah.
doing the scene, and it like they were just so good at being mad at each other for people that get along, but they did not like. What was it that Chris said to you about it? Didn't he say something about it being like the least enjoyable?
First, I remember I got there late. I forget. I think we left. I had to retrieve the slate from another location, and I got there a little late. And I'm like, hey guys, what's so? I'm just gonna come back in a little bit because they were both just so in their game and so upset. And Chris told me afterwards, he said that was by far the worst thing he's like, not the worst, but just the most least enjoyable thing he's filmed throughout the whole production. It's just so hard to do.
Side note about that night, we shot all the parking lot stuff with a ton of extras that night,
Oh, that was
and
awesome.
it was great because so many extras came, but they were all drinking. They were really drinking beer. We didn't tell them to bring beer, but they came and there's like underage kids drinking and stuff. And my cousin John, wonderful guy, we're going through the scene. I just see him stumbling over to the side, like the camera, and I'm like, you gotta get the fuck out of here, man. You gotta go. I thought it was like the funniest thing I've ever seen.
I love that after we wrapped all the extras, we still had a good maybe 2-3 hours. They were like, I don't know, maybe like 5 or 6 extras, 5 or maybe more, maybe like 5 or 10 extras, sitting in like a kumbaya like circle, just kind of still drinking. We're like,
They were there longer than us.
We're done with you. They're just kind of
having a good time.
They're just hanging out there until like who knows, but.
Yeah, just like why are you
We were
guys
there
still
till like
here?
4.
Like
we
had to be out there late because we had to do we shot that night in particular. Just because of the way our schedule is like that particular night. All right, we have the really heavy scene. We have the vomit scene after that. Oh yeah, then you guys got to go pass out flyers. And oh, by the way, now Craig, you have to be angry at Chris too. Chris, you get to get yelled at in the same location twice in a row.
Yeah.
We did a lot of that location.
We did a whole lot there.
You guys seem like a fun bunch because I saw you guys briefly at RxSM. We were busy as heck, but we passed through. And since I've seen you guys online posting pictures, and every time I see you guys look so happy, and you guys look like
here.
Me.
like you look like you're having such a great time. And I gotta ask, like, how's the festival been treating you guys?
It's great. Yeah, I couldn't be happier. Like with the RxSM festival, amazing. Then coming to Victoria, just amazing. The people, the experience, everybody were just so grateful that they love the movie, that we're screening, seeing other people coming in and to see our movie that we have no idea who these people are. They buy tickets.
Yeah, they're not your friends.
They're not our friends.
Yeah.
They're not our family.
Yeah.
And it's word of mouth, what they found online, interest, and we've obviously piqued their interest in a trailer or whatever.
Yeah.
And they came to see it, and that's like a huge honor to see people like that.
I think the best thing was Thursday night at the grill showing, the first time you guys showed here. Ryan came up to me and he said, "It's really weird. People have our tickets
Yeah.
printed out. They bought tickets online, and I don't know what to
yes,
think about that."
Totally.
Because it's so, I don't know, it's just really humbling being here and being around people like Anthony, Jake, you guys, along with the other filmmakers, because it's like
so many
Great.
people.
you run into a lot of people that necessarily, especially in this industry, who kind of just focus on their own thing. They don't go off the beaten path, but just there's been just so many great people here that are
Supportive.
I don't know, it's been inspiring.
yeah.
Like, and the quality of the films. Like, we just saw Little Hope Was Ours, and it just broke our fucking hearts.
Yeah.
And it's just, there's so. Like, I don't even want to start name dropping movies, because I'm gonna forget stuff that's great.
Yeah.
But and just, I don't know, just to hear also other filmmakers. I really like how some of them have been open about their struggles just as much as their successes.
Yes. Oh yeah. Without a doubt. Just everybody has been so on the level and just so uplifting and not suppressive. They just want to see you succeed and do well. And everybody has, advice, things to offer, which is so amazing. Everybody is here to share and experiences and things that they've learned, and it's just an amazing
Like,
experience. I can't,
It's kind of fucked up because we're from New York, New Jersey area,
Right.
and we're almost caught off guard by how just genuinely awesome and nice people are.
Yeah.
Just the nicest people you
They're
could
being
have asked.
nice
It's
without
so,
wanting anything.
Yeah, it's so
Yeah.
just like
It's bizarre.
it's but no, it's wonderful. It's just a blessing just to see this, and just I hope for other film festivals we get the same. But nothing is going to be.
I don't think we'd be.
Yeah.
It'd be like a miracle to get half as lucky.
Yeah,
Yes.
I mean, coming here and there, oh my god.
And like we've
forget it.
met so many filmmakers and actors and just so many cool, good people. And it's like, oh, I'm gonna totally work with this person.
Yeah.
And like,
absolutely.
Yeah.
and it's been like, I feel like I've accomplished more networking. I'm sure you guys have
Yeah.
too.
Oh, without a doubt.
In the week at RXSM and the few days we've been here, way more than anything since college finished. And that includes going through the process of actually making the movie.
Yeah, absolutely right.
It's really been great.
Yeah.
And it all kind of, once again, I can't thank Anthony enough.
Yeah.
That dude.
Anthony.
Which leads me to the next
Wow.
point.
Wow.
So-
That guy, amazing.
Yeah, leads me to the next point. So you guys have been offered a chance to come back to Victoria to shoot your next project.
Yeah.
And from my understanding, you guys are going to take that offer.
Absolutely.
Oh yeah.
So awesome.
Without a doubt.
I,
Without a doubt.
I started coming up with the idea for the next thing about maybe like 2 years ago, and it's a romantic comedy called The Lost Year, and it takes place. It's basically chronicles the year after someone's breakup of like a very serious relationship, someone that they're about to move in with, and I have the whole movie outlined. My plan has been to start writing the first draft, and I always thought it would be going from like New Jersey to moving into Brooklyn, and we came here on the first night, and I'm just like, wait, this could be this could happen in Texas.
Yeah.
And I have people that are supportive, and I mentioned it to Jake, and he's like, yeah, maybe they'll let it happen, and then Anthony just laid it on. He's like, all right, we're gonna bring you to Victoria. He didn't even say we're gonna bring you. He like basically talked to his and like, I couldn't be more excited to come here because the town of Victoria it almost feels like a back lot at a Hollywood studio that people actually live in. Like,
Yeah.
You and I.
me and him just took a walk around one night, and it's just like, you could do, like, one thing that eats up time and makes it hard to make movies well, and definitely affected us on the Backseat, is when you make a company move and you're shooting scenes in one place and going to another, you lose a lot of downtime driving. It's really, but here you walk a few blocks, you're like on a farm, or you got the Navy Museum if you want to like have some, and then right now we're in a giant building, and then we just go a few blocks down, there's an empty lot that looks like a place where
And
someone
no
would be doing a
permits.
craft. And
No permits. That is just wild. Because that's the tough part for a producer. Like, you want to go get these permits, and they cost money.
Yeah.
Or you get permission from an owner if it's their land, and you hope for the best. Like, yeah, sure, I want to support your film and do that. And I mean, there's so many great things in this town.
And Anthony's telling us, like, yeah, if you need extras around here, you just send out a text a few hours before and they'll be there.
Yeah.
And it's like,
Pretty much
what?
everything.
I had to beg people.
To come.
And even then, like, if you watch the Backseat, all of our high school scenes have, like, no one in the back because all of our friends came out for, like, the first couple of days of being out, and they're like, wait, you guys, it takes a long time?
Yeah.
I don't want to sit in the background.
We had a friend of mine that we used Roy's bedroom and the exterior of Roy's house. Good friend of mine, and he was almost caught off guard, just like, okay, a couple hours. We're like, no, it's a few days. He's like, what the fuck did I get myself into? Okay, cool, awesome, sounds good.
Yeah.
And you can see him a lot as well, but yeah, it's.
Yeah, it's cool to come to. It's not that people aren't supportive out there. They definitely are.
Yeah.
But here, I feel like there's something happening here. I feel like when stuff like Sundance and South by Southwest started up, it was under like the intentions of this. Except eventually, those guys they don't necessarily look out for the small movies, and that's fine. Like there should be a place for mid-level indies to go, but. Here it reminds me of almost like the punk rock roots to get back to the band stuff. It's just like you go out, you bust your ass, you do your thing, people will start to catch on, and it's like there's a sense of community here that you don't necessarily see in other places, and it's just the support's been overwhelming.
Yeah.
Excellent. And so, is there any place that people can go to get updates on the film or see where it's going to go next, or?
Yeah. The two best places to get updates are facebook.com/thebackseatmovie and also my personal website, ryanolearyfilms.com. Probably both of those get updated around the same time. And also we have an IMDb page where I recommend you go to look up all the actors and crew that worked on it.
So many, everyone that we worked with crew-wise, and just couldn't ask for better people.
Yeah, we were really blessed
Cool.
with a lot of the people that we had on the set. So.
Awesome. Well, guys, the film is called The Backseat, and it is screening at the Victoria, Texas Independent Film Festival. And thank you so much for sitting and talking with us. It's really been a pleasure, guys.
Thank you.
Thank you for having us.
And thanks for watching the movie. It's cool to see someone who really connected.
Yeah.